This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From your very own website to your very own shop, make it with Squarespace. Long time no see, it's me, Kasey, and this is Greg. And in today's video, as you can tell from the title, today we're going to be customizing a Lego minifigure. Now this is your classic size of a Lego minifigure. This is a furry Lego figure. Not that there's anything wrong with furries. And here's the box of the Lego figure we're going to be customizing today. He's a big boy. Here's our little guy for comparison. I think there might be a bigger one in that box. I've been feeling really crafty lately. I've been doing a lot of sewing, a lot of woodworking and cutting and pasting. I made this giant pencil. I love this guy. Look at him. Did you look at him? So let's see how creative we can get with this giant Lego minifigure. I'm going to do some sketching. We're going to unbox this guy and see how creative we can customize this minifigure. Let's go. So here we have our giant Lego minifigure and our little guy in comparison. Let's open up our Lego wooden minifigure here. It comes with this, I don't know, this booklet. Maybe some inspiration to customize your own. Free the boy. Ah! Unfortunately, it seems like the only movable parts in this thing is going to be the hands. None of the arms or the legs or anything. Not even the head rotates. We've just got some rotation with the hands here. To be honest, I've already sort of been thinking about ideas on how to customize this guy. And I've got my iPad here with the photos from the website to sketch over and plan. I'll just zoom in a little bit here. All right. So on the website, they provided a front photo, a left-facing photo, a back photo, and a right-facing photo. So I can use these to sketch out ideas over, like a cactus arm. I might have to cut off one of these arms. We'll see. I do want to put my personality into this Lego, just sort of nods to ways I create and do things, I guess. Cactus is a huge thing. Oh, actually, y'all, I bought a sack of blue ant Legos. I had to go onto eBay because they don't sell these in the stores. This is a bunch of little ants because I'm also known for drawing lots of ants. I do want it to hold a pencil, so I was thinking I could actually make it out of wood. Maybe I could go to the hardware store and get like a dowel or something. Oh God. I could sew a wig that looks like me. Oh my gosh, y'all. They don't normally have noses. I'm really torn between making the face look like the way I draw faces or making the face look like a Lego face. I'm not sure. I do have to wonder how easily these arms, if I wanted to pop them off, are they glued on? Are they screwed on? All right, here we go. First things first, let's pop that hand off and head to the hardware store because I need to find a giant pencil for our Lego figure. I found these wooden dowels and I was so happy to see they had the exact thickness I needed for the Lego hand to get your mind out of the gutter. Now at first I was just going to make one pencil for our character to hold, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to have extra from this stick, and then I thought, let's just have a lot of pencils. Let's create, that's right, a whole stack of pencils to go next to our Lego figure. Now, I'll go ahead and say I do not have every tool under the sun. I don't have the best woodworking or crafty abilities, so my technique is horrible. I sawed all of these little pencils, sanded away the best looking side, and then got to sort of carving away the tips of our pencils. Again, not the best technique. I just kind of took a sharp thing to it and went for it. Some of the pencils are super long tipped, some of them were short tipped. I wanted to get variety in the pencils just to keep things funky and fresh and a little bit different. Honestly, I was 100% surprised I even got through this process without, you know, hurting myself or at least drawing a little bit of blood. That is, until I went to vacuum up this mess and somehow using a vacuum cleaner is what hurt myself and drew blood. Oh my God, how? So once I had my stack of pencils all carved out and ready to go, it was time to start painting them. So originally I was thinking about creating the classic looking yellow number 2 pencil, but when I realized the Lego hand was also yellow, I realized we're gonna have to go more in the colored pencil direction, but I still wanted to make a couple of these number 2 pencils because they're just such a classic look. They're so cute, I love them. So I painted the pencils yellow, painted the tips for the erasers pink, struggled to cut this aluminum strip, and even struggled more to hammer the strip into the wood, but it was super worth it because I feel like mixing that metal with the wood not only helps it give that more pencil feel, but it just looks so rustic and like handmade. It's not perfect, it's a little wobbly, but I think it's super cute. And just that shine of the metal with the dullness of the wood, I don't know what it is about it. I think they're very cute. It's sort of like a mixed media situation. After getting a little help from my husband to hammer those in, it was definitely a 4-handed job. I painted on the additional details like some lines on the pencil, the tip of the pencil, and that was it. We have our number 2 yellow classic looking pencil. Super freaking cute. I was already happy with how these pencils were turning out, and it was time to start coloring the rest of them. But first, I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. If you're an artist, you need a website. I'm talking gallery or portfolio. Show off your art, bring in those clients, and if you don't want any weirdos looking at your website, that's right, you can slap a password on that sucker. Designing your own website is super easy to do. They've got customizable, award-winning templates, super easy to edit, super sleek, super cute, love it. And honestly, it's really simple, but my favorite feature about a website is that you can put all of your social media on one page and everyone can find you. The little cute icons. Now you know where to find me on everything. Stalkers? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/KaseyGolden to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Let's paint some pencils. The whole time I was working on this project, I couldn't stop thinking about how much time I spent on creating these pencils and how little time I actually spent with the Lego minifigure. Sure, all of these are accessories that accompany our Lego minifigure. It is all sort of like a packaged bundle deal, but I just found it funny how little I actually touched the Lego figure and how much fun and time I spent and had on creating accessories for it. So like I mentioned before, because the hand of the Lego is yellow, and yes, I could have painted it, but I kind of liked keeping everything sort of raw. I thought limiting the color palette would look really nice, and I love greens, I love blues, I love everything between the greens and blues, teal, turquoises. They're great. So obviously I had to limit my color palette to these few colors, and it turned out great. I love it. I loved all the teals and blues and greens I used. I used my Holbein Acryla Gouache to paint these. Probably not the best paint to use for this sort of project, but it is acrylic, so I trusted that it would be fine. Plus my acrylic gouaches came in every single amazing color you see here. These colors are great. I love them. So I painted all of our pencils, greens and blues and everything in between. And I didn't want to put names on all of them because I didn't want the names to be the main focus of this sort of sculpture, and I didn't want it to be too distracting. I also didn't trust my handwriting onto these pencils, so I just did a few names that I thought would be silly. We got booger green, we got poop green, nothing serious. I put a glossy coat on top of the colored parts of the pencils because pencils, when they're painted, they're glossy, but then the wood itself is matte. I love that contrast between this object where you've got this shiny part, but also the exposed wood that is matte. Love that. And that was it for our pencils. The process of making the pencils was pretty simple, but it was pretty time consuming. Totally worth it though. They look amazing. Alright, it is time to give our Lego figure hair. If you guys are familiar with my content, you might be familiar with Sock Kasey. Sock Kasey, if you don't know, is my sock puppet counterpart. the way I created the wig for this minifigure is pretty much the same process. I will admit, I didn't do any measuring, just sort of jumped into it, cut it absolutely way too small, but you know what? I ended up with this silly Kasey style wig for Greg. Now we can all have Kasey styled hair. Don't you just love that? I love it. So we needed a bigger wig for our Lego figure. I just basically traced our previous small wig, cut it a little bit bigger, and there you go. We have a wig for our Lego figure. Sewed it together using some brown thread, made sure that I did a little bit of testing on how it was fitting as I sewed it so I didn't make another mistake. Creating a tiny felt wig for a giant Lego minifigure is not something I thought I would be doing in my art career, yet here we are. This was a very simple, quick process. Here we are. I think this wig turned out so perfect. This looks like the way I draw my hair in a felt version. It turned out so good. That being said, it is now time to destroy an arm off of our Lego figure. This was the part I was not looking forward to. I was super nervous about removing the arm without completely destroying somehow this minifigure, but it had to be done. At first, I took my heat gun and tried to maybe loosen glue that was holding it together. Pretty sure that did nothing, so I had to break out my wood carving tool, try to carefully wedge it in between the arm and the body, and just hammer away carefully and try to wedge them apart. I was so surprised by how smoothly this process went. I was expecting everything to go wrong, but it just sort of popped off with a few grains, and I was very happy with that. I didn't even plan on using the arm, but at this point I was like, I need to have this severed arm holding a pencil. Perfect. But we did need to replace the arm with a cactus, and again, if you guys are familiar with my content, my early days of YouTube, I used to make these felt cactus tutorials. So I'm not going to show too much of the process of sewing this cactus. Now, you would think with how many of these felt cacti I've made in my lifetime, which is a fair few, I would know what I'm doing. Nope, I need to have one of these L-shaped pieces backwards, and I had them look the same way, and when I put the needles on them, I realized that and had to take the needles off of two of the pieces and re-sew the needles on. A bit of a bummer, but thankfully it's a very easy fix. Sew them up, stuff them, try your best to ignore how inappropriate the stuffing process of these cacti look, and let me tell you, the action of doing it is just as weird feeling as watching it. Again, I was very surprised at how perfect this little cactus arm fit right on the Lego figure. It just looked so good. I was so excited to glue these guys on. A little nervous about their structural support, but because they are so light and small, worked perfectly. Glued it on with some super strong glue, held it on there, and I can't believe, again, how smoothly this process went. I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to gluing and crafting, but it seemed like things were going all right. It's still glued on to this day. The cactus arms were on, and we are ready to assemble our entire Lego sort of trophy figure thing. I don't even know what to call this. What is this? The original wooden base I was going to use was a bit smaller, but that was also before I decided to create so many wooden pencils to join our Lego figure. Plus, I also wanted to have a little potted cactus with our character just to tie in the arms and stuff. I think this is so cute. I also threw in a little anthill. If you recall, I had Lego ants that I was going to put on our figure. I created this little felt anthill. They're coming out, inspecting the arm, just crawling all over the place. They are the absolute perfect additional detail to add on to our little figure. And this is it. We're done. What a project this was, but I'm so happy with it. It's so colorful in green and blue. I love it. It is my baby. A huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Make yourself a website, and a huge thank you to you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!